Good evening, ladies and gentlemen!
Thank you for coming today. Our presentation topic is Japanese farming and our lives. We are glad to talk about this topic. My name is Kyonran. Today I would like to talk about the Japanese lives and agriculture.
My name is Shizuka. I'll talk about modern thinking about farming in Japan.
My name is Sayaka. Today I would like to talk about problem on farming in Japan.
Farming relates to our lives as food, so it is important for us. Also, farmers try to pass on tradition next generation despite serious problems. My name is Kyonran. Today I would like to talk about the Japanese lives and agriculture. Those are my three topics. First, history of agriculture. Second, sustaining health through education. And finally, lunches at the schools. First, does anyone know what is the Japanese specialty?
Rice!
Yes, it is rice. So I'll focus on rice history in Japan. It started about 300 BC to 300 AD. More and more people came from the Asian continent, reached Japan by boat. These settlers brought a new skill, the growing of rice. This is the beginning of agricultural history in Japan. The end of 7th century to beginning of 8th century, the government gave the land to commoners for farming, and they collected rice as land tax. After finishing samurai period, such as 19th century, Japan became a modern nation, so this system was stopped. As you can see, the rice is very important for us and our lives, and we have some special feeling towards rice. Now I'll move on to dietary education in Japan. As I said, the rice is very important for Japanese. However, there is an increase in the number of people who don't care so much about rice, so we have to reconsider about it. Dietary education consists of 3 points. First, to master an ability, such as what you eat is safe, dangerous, and become healthy. Second, through meals, to learn culture such as tradition and dining etiquette. And finally, having a wide point of view, such as to think about food situation around the world and to know about Japan's self-sufficiency ratio. Then I will talk about dietary education law. It established in 2005. There were some reasons why this law was established. One was Japanese eating habits were changed. We rely on convenience food such as fast food. Also, we don't eat rice so often. Another was Japanese agriculture regenerate plan. The ideas of this plan are to tell children how to combine food and food safety. Also, after establishing this law, the students have to learn about dietary education, and it is a duty for students. Look at this chart. Do you have any ideas?
No!
And as I said, the students have to learn about this dietary education, so the Japanese people learn about this chart. And the idea of this chart is similar to food pyramid in America. Even though they look opposite, but they represent the same recommendations. Now, some schools try to go to local farms to grow rice with farmers. Also, the students grow vegetables in their schools. Then, agriculture is part of dietary education because it is difficult for students who have never seen how to grow vegetables and rice be interested in their food. However, they experience those things by themselves. Finally, they can be interested in their daily life and food. Therefore, the students learn not only dietary education, but also they learn part of agriculture. Finally, I will talk about lunches at the schools. In Japan, we have two kinds of lunches. First, school lunches. And second, bento boxes. First, I will talk about school lunches in Japan. First Japanese school lunch started one of elementary school in 1889. The children who couldn't bring their bento boxes because their family were poor. Therefore, the Buddhist monk who built this elementary school provided rice balls and grilled fish and pickles for students. After that, this system spread out and it becomes today's school lunches in Japan. Next to this picture is today's school lunches in Japan. As I said, the students grow crops in their schools or farms, so that sometimes the school uses those crops for student school lunches. Next, today some schools try to use their local products. It's called chisan chisho. Chisan means crops grown in a local area, and chisho means eating local area food. Therefore, the student can eat fresh and safe vegetables, and also farmers can use their own field products. Next, I will talk about the bento box in Japan. The students who don't have school lunches at their school, they eat bento boxes, and it is a big part of Japanese culture. It started about the 5th century. The ideas of bento boxes were people could something to eat during hunting, farming, and battles. So the first bento box was rice balls. This is today's bento boxes in Japan. Then some workers, this is for some workers or students. And finally, I will talk about one of unique bento boxes in Japan. Some parents try to use their creativity to encourage their children to eat vegetables. It imitates Japanese animation, so it's called cartoon bento boxes. And this bento box imitates Totoro's movie. Then, not only schools, but also at their schools, at their homes, they care about their daily life and their eating habits. In conclusion, the farming is very important for us and our lives, especially rice. However, sometimes people forget the value of rice. But through dietary education, we reconsider about it. Also, it gave us the chance to think about what is healthy. Then we realized the importance of rice, vegetables, and agriculture. Also, the students learn about those things through dietary education and their school lunches or bento boxes. So the agriculture always relates to our lives. Then next presentator Shizuka will tell you next topic. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Kyonran. My name is Shizuka. I'll talk about modern thinking about farming in Japan. I have 3 topics. They are home garden, genetically modified food, and Japanese markets. First, I'll talk about home garden. Home garden is a garden to raise vegetables or fruit in your house. I'll explain advantages of home garden. Have you ever heard of mottai-nai? No. Sorry. Excuse me. There are 3 advantages. First, we can always eat fresh vegetables or fruits in your home garden. So we don't have to worry about if they will go bad or not. Next, they are very inexpensive compared to grocery stores. Third, we can raise organic crops. Let's move on to economical home garden. Have you ever heard of mottai-nai? Sorry. Mottai-nai is Japanese word. It means we should not waste something we can use still. It is very important value for Japanese. I'll explain two economical home garden. First, it is about green onions. After you cook the green onions, you can use the stem. If you soak them in water like them, you can raise again. So they are not garbage for Japanese. Second, it is about eggs. After you cook the eggs, you can use the eggs shell in your home garden. The crushed shell on the soil will take the place of kind of agricultural chemical because worms don't like the smell, so they don't try to approach to your food. Also, they are just eggs, so they don't have damage for us. As you can see, Japanese people appreciate for food, so they don't want to waste food as much as possible. Second, I'll talk about genetically modified food. This food has DNA has artificially changed. I'll talk about Japanese attitude to GM food. It is very serious. Japanese government made a national law about GM food for farmers because GM food are taking much agricultural chemical and they are bad for our health and the environment. So Japanese farmers are prohibited to cultivate them. Also, at grocery stores, some products have label which says it is not GM food because Japan is a small country, so Japan has many imports. That's why at grocery stores we have many imports, so they make the Japanese customer be anxious about them. Next, I'll talk about pro and con about GM food. The advantage is, according to some research, which say the agricultural chemical of GM food are kind of healthy because it reduces oxalates, which is organic acid, and allow more calcium to be absorbed. But still, it is not confirmed yet. Disadvantage is, if you have an allergy, you have a possibility to make a new allergy. As you can see, there is such a risk, and as I said before, the agricultural chemical of GM food are bad for our health. So Japanese thinking for GM food are very pessimistic. Third, I'll talk about Japanese markets. I'll explain how we sell crops in Japan. First, I'll talk about at grocery stores. At grocery stores, more than half of products have plastic bag like them. They are for hygiene and freshness. So these bags protect the food from germ and dry. Japanese customers care about the food's freshness and the safety very much. So they are one of the characteristics at grocery store in Japan. Next, I'll talk about farmers' markets. At countryside, some farmers have own small markets. There is no clerk and there is a money box. The system is customer come to the shop and take the product and put the money in the box. The owners trust the customer very much, so it is related to Japanese safety. Also, this kind of shops are popular in Japan because these crops are very fresh, but they are very inexpensive. As you can see, the focus of Japanese modern thinking about farming is healthy, nutritious food. Also, we care about the environment very much. Japanese people rely on organic food to provide their healthy nourishment. Therefore, Japanese people believe food have life forces. Life forces is kind of spirits. As you can see, Japanese farming Japanese farming work in harmony with all of lives. Next presenter is Sayaka. She will talk about Japanese serious problem about agriculture, about farming. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Shizuka. My name is Sayaka. Today, I would like to talk about problem on farming in Japan. Farming is part of Japanese culture, but now it is surrounded by many problems. In my presentation, I would like to focus on 3 problems: radioactive farmland, aging farmers, and self-sufficiency ratio. Self-sufficiency ratio means the ratio of the food consumed daily by the Japanese that is supplied by domestic production. Now I'm going to talk about radioactive farmland. In March 11th of this year, big earthquake happened in northern part of Japan. Also, nuclear plant factory was damaged by tsunami. After big earthquake, many farmers in northern part of Japan are in trouble because of radioactivity. Now, many farmers in northern part of Japan can't start working again for at least 1 year because exposure to radioactivity will not decrease. So, farmers will need to handle the soil in a safe way. Farmers will have to be careful not to be exposed inside the body by breathing. Also, farmers will need to shave off 2 inches of soil from farmland. It is really hard work, so many farmers are thinking whether they will start working again or not. Farmers in northern part of Japan receive a letter about solution. It said, to understand how radioactivity is expanding in Japan, and to be active is the most important thing to solve this problem. So, farmers in northern part of Japan hold a meeting every month to know each farmland situation. According to the research by botanists, sunflower seeds remove 95% of sunflower seeds from the soil in only 20 days. If botanists didn't use sunflower seeds, it would take for 30 years. Although it is prevailing in northern part of Japan, still it is not confirmed yet. Now I'm going to talk about aging farmers. Currently, 65% of Japanese farmers are over 65 years old. Many old farmers have a strong feeling to save their tradition. So, farmers quit working. After farmers quit working, sometimes farmers who don't have successors will kill themselves because they couldn't save their tradition for next generation. Old farmers pass on their style of farming to next generation, but also they want to respect what their children want to be. The biggest reason why young farmers are decreasing in salary. Farmers need not only wage but also grants because farming contributes Japanese culture. People who live in big cities don't have opportunity to experience farming because farming is prosperous job in countryside of Japan. So now many farmers hold agricultural events which people can experience farming easily. Also, old farmers attract young people. Also, old farmers try to attract young people. There are many devices to help old farmers. It is difficult and hard for old farmers to work in kneeling position for a long time. So, robot suit was invented by Japanese university professor. It is easy to wear with straps to user's body. Recently, many old farmers have accidents during working, such as heart attack. So many hospitals associate with farmers. Then doctors go to farmers' house to examine them twice a week. Now I'm going to talk about Japan's self-sufficiency ratio. As I said at the beginning of my presentation, Japan's self-sufficiency ratio means the ratio of the food consumed daily by the Japanese that is supplied by domestic production. Japan's self-sufficiency ratio used to be 79% in 1760, but now it is 39%, and it is the lowest percentage in advanced nations. After World War II, Japanese eating habit was changed. Food made from wheat became common in Japan. However, it is difficult to raise wheat in Japan, so Japanese farmers couldn't correspond to the trend at this time. Humid is good to raise wheat, but Japan doesn't have a huge farmland like American farmland. If imports increase, farming function will decline because farmers will not be able to get enough salary to run farmland. The biggest effect is people who live in big cities such as Tokyo and Osaka. These prefectures have undeveloped land for recreation, so these lands don't suit to produce food. So if food crisis happen in Japan, people who live in big cities will suffer because this prefecture depends on imports and food from other areas of Japan. Now, many farmers started projects to increase Japan's self-sufficiency ratio. Food Action Nippon, which is a national movement. Nippon is Japanese word, which means Japan. This movement ties up with many schools in Japan, and it recommends schools to use local food in school lunches. For example, in one of elementary schools in orange producing area, orange juice come out from faucet instead of water. There are many movements who come from farmers' idea. My conclusion is farmers try to pass on their style of tradition for next generation by attracting people, holding events, and helping each other. Also, farming is always related to our lives as our food and health. Now, many farmers try to solve this problem in your body. So people think this problem seriously and figure out what each person can do for this problem. Thank you for listening.
And our conclusion is, as I said, the students required in schools to receive dietary education. So it means that Japanese government try to reconsider about the importance of agriculture.
Also, it is important for Japanese farming to have harmony with all of our lives.
Farming is preserving essential way of life. That's why Japanese farming try to pass on their style of farming to next generation. For people, farming is not only raise food, but also based on our lives. In the process, people care about food and health and environment. At this moment, farming is changing, but it keeps relating to our lives. Thank you for listening. Does anyone have questions?
Yes, Mom.
Recently, I read in the newspaper that Japan is considering opening their markets to cheap food imports from other countries, and that farmers in Japan are protesting that. What do you think Japan should do?
The question is, recently, Japan tried to increase imports. So what do I think? I think it has both of good thing and bad thing. If imports increase, as I said, farmers' function will decline. But through the imports, children can learn culture or eating habit in other countries. So I can't say which is good or which is bad. Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk a little bit about what you're wearing? Is this is like farmers' clothes in Japan? Is this commonly worn by farmers in Japan?
We are question is, what is our costumes? We are pretending Japanese farmers, but actually, it is a little old-fashioned.
Yeah.
We couldn't find recent clothes for farmers, so we use yukata and hakama. Any other questions? Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Mom.
Is Japanese grown food more expensive than imported food from other countries?
The question is, does food is expensive more than imports? Japanese food is more expensive than imports. It depends on food and it depends on country. Food from China or Korea, it will be cheap and inexpensive, but food from France or any other Europe, it will be expensive. But now, as I said, the big earthquake happened in Japan, so Japanese food is also expensive. Yes. Any other question? Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
You said rice is the #1 crop. Do you know the what's the #2 crop in Japan?
The question is, what is the #2 crop in Japan? But actually, this is not my part, so I'm not sure, so I'm sorry.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your questions. You did a lovely job, ladies.
Thank you.
I invite you to look at our website.